Okay, today we're reading a story from someone who is engaged, in love, and quietly terrified that something underneath the relationship feels off. Okay? So the title of this one is Engaged but Scared That We're Incompatible. So I want you to come sit with me for a minute because today we're reading something that looks calm on the surface, but underneath it's a quiet kind of panic that most people ignore until it's too late. So this is a recreated Reddit style story post that's based on real relationship patterns that I see in therapy every single day. There's no identifying details. It's just a story that might feel just a little too familiar for some of you. So let's jump right in and let's read and see what the original poster had to say. Hi everyone, I'm 29. My fiance is 31 years old. He's genuinely a good person, kind, loyal, hardworking, and treats me well. We've been together for 3 years and got engaged 6 months ago. I already want you to notice something there. She's starting out the Reddit story by trying to convince us, the audience, and maybe even herself, that he's good, that he's kind, that he's loyal, that he's hardworking. So she right there is building a case for basically why we should like him. And she's doing that because she's about to say something that scares her. And she wants us to know that she recognizes all this good in him and that she's not ungrateful. So let's go on and see what the original poster had to say. Here's where I'm struggling. Whenever I try to talk about deeper emotional topics, our future, conflict, parenting, finances, even how we're feeling, he shuts down. He says, "You're overthinking," or "Why can't we just be happy?" And he changes the subject right there. I want us to pause here for a second because this is a moment that a lot of people have where her nervous system started noticing a wall that's up between them. It's not anger, it's not abuse, it's not chaos. There's just a wall that's up and off to his emotions and his capacity to share or go deeper. And walls, those are so much harder to name because basically nothing is technically wrong, but nothing is fully open either. The relationship is not fully open either. Okay, let's go on to see what the original poster had to say. We don't fight much. Actually, we almost never fight, but we also don't really go deep. I feel like there's a wall I can't get past emotionally. And there it is right there. That sentence tells me everything, okay? Everything that I need to know. Because when someone says, I feel like there's a wall, what they're telling you there is that their body already knows the future emotional landscape of the relationship. It's not dramatic. It's not anxious. It's not needy. What it is wise. Let's go on to see what else the original poster had to say. Part of me wonders if I'm just anxious and creating problems. But another part of me is scared I'm ignoring a red flag before marriage. In this right here, okay? This is the part that I want you to feel all in your chest because she's standing right at the doorway of her life right here, folks, okay? She's engaged. There's a ring on her finger. There's plans that are being made. I'm sure families, her family, his family are excited. Dresses are being picked out. Deposits are being made. And inside her body is a quiet voice that's whispering to her, are we emotionally compatible? Are me and Tim emotionally compatible? Not, do we love each other? Because that's not what's in question here. Not, is he kind? Because we know he's kind. That's not in question here. But can we meet each other in the deep water when shit gets hard? Because shit always gets hard. It's life. Let's go on to see what the original poster said. I love him. He loves me. But is love enough if emotional connection feels limited? Did you hear that? Let's just sit here with that for a moment. Because this right here, this is a question that nobody teaches couples to ask before marriage. We teach people to look for chemistry, to look for attraction, to look for loyalty, to look for kindness, to look for stability, to look for shared interest. But we do not teach people Can you stay open when I'm scared? Can you talk when things are uncomfortable to talk about? Can you hold my emotions without shutting down? Can we repair this relationship after we hurt each other? Those things right there, they're marriage skills, not wedding skills, marriage skills. Let's go on to see what the original poster had to say. Has anyone experienced this? Did it change after marriage or get worse? And here's the ache right here. And here's the problem that so many people face as well. She's hoping, we are all hoping, will marriage change someone? Will they open that person up? But she's afraid marriage will lock this in. So let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about what she's describing here, because what she's describing is one of the most common relational pairings that I see. One partner is wired for emotional depth, and then the other partner is wired for emotional avoidance. And in the beginning, this pairing, it feels easy. And it feels easy because there's no drama, there's no big fights, there's no volatility. It feels peaceful. But later, what happens is that it feels lonely, because long-term love is not built in the absence of conflict. And I know conflict is a tough thing, and a lot of people are scared of it, and a lot of people try to avoid it. But long-term relationships have conflict. They last through conflict if you know how to handle conflict and repair after conflict. It's built in the presence of repair. That's what long-term relationships are built on. Long-term love requires emotional presence. It requires vulnerability. It requires shared meaning. The ability to sit in the discomfort together is what it requires. It requires the ability to stay connected when feelings get big, because feelings always get big. We are human beings. We are fueled with feelings and emotion. Kindness and loyalty, they're beautiful things. They really are, but they are not emotional availability. And here's the important part, okay? A partner who shuts down around emotions, they're not bad. They're not a bad person. They're not a bad partner. But most emotionally shut down partners, or most partners who shut down emotionally, they usually grew up in homes where feelings, they were dismissed, where vulnerability was not modeled, where emotions were punished or they were minimized, or they grew up in homes where survival required staying logical and contained. So now what happens as adults, when emotional closeness approaches them, their nervous system says something like, "This is dangerous, no." And they shut down and they change the subject in order for them to feel like they're staying safe. And that's not malicious right there. What that is their protection mechanism kicking in. But marriage, it will require emotional availability. It does require emotional availability. And love alone does not teach that skill. It doesn't. Love is not enough. It's not. Which brings us to the real red flag here, okay? The real red flag is not the fact that he shuts down. That's not the flag here, okay? The red flag is he willing to learn? Is he willing to become aware? Is he willing to build emotional capacity? Because emotional capacity, it's not a personality trait. It is a skill, and it's a skill that can be learned, and it's a skill that can be built. But it can only be learned and built when both partners see the need for that to happen. And this is exactly why I believe that engaged couples need and they deserve emotional preparation before marriage. Not because something is broken, but because resentment is freaking expensive. And loneliness, y'all, loneliness when you are in a relationship is freaking painful. And divorce, it's devastating. And so much of that can be prevented by learning how to handle conflict, how to return to calm, how to express vulnerability, how to stay emotionally safe together. And learning all of this before damage and resentment is done, not after the damage is done, but before it. So if you're listening to this and part of you is whispering, will we be able to handle the hard parts that come along with long-term relationships? I want you to listen to that voice, because that voice that's talking, that's not fear, that's foresight. And you know what the thing about foresight is that it builds lasting love. Okay? So listen to it. And I'll see you on the next video.